C1. You are listening at FameTV.info. You, a trash, want to marry the crown prince. Wishful thinking. Why don't you take a piss and see your virtue? That crazy and stupid girl actually called herself the crown princess. This is so funny. Beat him up. Beat him up. Beat him up. The substitute second young miss will teach this fool a lesson. In a deserted courtyard, a few maidservants surrounded a young girl dressed in luxurious clothing and started beating her with punches and kicks. The young girl tightly curled up into a ball. When those fists and kicks landed on her body, they were both ruthless and fierce. She cried out in pain and stubbornly insisted, "Big brother crown prince will marry me. He said I'm the princess consort." "Woo-woo, I'm telling dad that you're hitting me, silly girl." One of the maidservants sneered and gave her 2 tight slaps. "The crown prince thinks you're an idiot." "You really believe it? And there's also the Lord Prime Minister. I've been looking forward to your idiotic death." "No, you're lying." "Nonsense. You lied to me." The young girl was in pain and sad. Her tears flowed down in torrents. Her dark face was clearly visible from the 2 snow-white lines caused by her tears. "Ha ha ha, fool, a fool can cry. Interesting." The maidservants laughed arrogantly. No one noticed that the young girl's aura gradually weakened, and the arm that was protecting their heads drooped down. In the end, the girl was like an abandoned doll as she laid there motionlessly. Only then did these people stop their atrocities. "Big sister Huir, did she die?" An attendant felt uneasy and asked the leader of the maidservants. They only wanted to beat this fool up, but they didn't want to beat her to death. They didn't know that Huir had this kind of thought. Her eyes rolled around a bit, and then she coldly snorted. "I think it's just playing dead and lying. Go and see if she's still breathing." The manservant took a deep breath, bent down and stretched out his hand to feel the girl's aura. Unexpectedly, the young girl abruptly opened her eyes. Under her long lowered eyelashes, her deep, crystal dot-like eyes flickered with killing intent. She raised her hand to grab the attendant's arm, then leaped up and twisted the attendant's joints. Ah! With a cry of pain, the attendant's face contorted and his arm was bent in a strange shape. In a short moment, he was in so much pain that he fainted. Huir was shocked, subconsciously calling out, "Let's go together, quickly hold her down." Mu Xiaoling's aggressive gaze shot over coldly. She remembered Huir's face and directly went over to meet the bunch of trash who were rushing over. Her figure was like a spirit serpent. Her moves were quick, accurate, and extremely sinister. Every move she made was a ruthless move that could kill a person. It was either pinching their neck or stabbing their acupoints. Helplessly watching as her elbow broke the back of a servant who had collapsed on the ground, Huir gasped in disbelief, turned around and ran. That's not the eldest Mississippi. Eldest young miss was both silly and foolish. How could she have such superb skill and ruthlessness? If she didn't run now, she would be killed. Mu Xiaoling didn't chase after Huir. After taking care of these people, she used the people on the ground as a cushion and sat down to think. At this moment, Mu Xiaoling's memories flashed through her mind like a movie. She who has been regarded as an ominous thing since birth, even though he was engaged to the crown prince, his 2 younger sisters still bullied him. The crown prince despised the way she mocked her, as well as the humiliation from the combined efforts of the other young masters and mistresses. Other than her mother and her personal servant Lear, there wasn't a third person that treated her well. What a pity that Mu Xiaoling's palm-sized face was still in a sorry state, but it couldn't hide her dazzling brilliance. From this moment onwards, she was the real young miss of the Prime Minister's estate, Mu Xiaoling. She was no longer a silly girl who was wanted by everyone. As for the person who had humiliated her before, she would take it back tenfold or even 100-fold. Mu Xiaoling got up and walked around the yard while enduring the soreness. Sure enough, he found Lear, who was tied up as a dumpling. Once Lear untied the rope, Lear began to wail, "Mississippi." It scared Lear to death. "I thought our master and his servant were going to die here." How can the second young miss be so fierce? She won't even let her blood-related elder sister off. Don't cry. Mu Xiaoling clumsily wiped away Lear's tears. Woo-woo. Miss, in the future, we must definitely hide far away. Second miss is too ruthless, we are really. My poor little miss, stop crying. Mu Xiaoling's eyes emitted a cold light as she coldly glanced at Lear. Lear shivered as she immediately shut her mouth and looked at Mu Xiaoling in fear. After a long while, she finally said in disbelief, Miss, you're not stupid, don't ask anymore, just follow me. Mu Xiaoling didn't bother to explain as she got up and walked towards her residence. She was very familiar with the layout of the Mu family. Mu Xiaoling's 13 years of experience had made her empathize with them. She was Mu Xiaoling. Mu Xiaoling was the Mu family's foolish eldest daughter. Mu Xiaoling, she didn't know how to explain it. In short, she was the eldest daughter of the Mu family. Mu Xiaoling washed her face and changed into a set of clean clothes. She reflected on her reflection in the mirror, revealing her exquisite and meticulously sculpted facial features. Her long, shapely eyebrows, perky nose, and cherry-red lips were her only regret. When she was 8 years old, her second sister, Mu Yuqing, had stolen her toys and cut her face with a knife, framing her for hitting people. That time, her father didn't care about the wounds on her face and even punished her by forcing her to kneel in the courtyard for 2 hours. Linger. A weak voice came from outside, accompanied by Lear. A beautiful middle-aged woman rushed in. She was Mu Xiaoling's mother, Nangongwen. When Nangongwen came in, he could not help but shed tears and cried. My poor Ling has been bullied by them again. Quickly let mom see where she is injured. Not wanting to let Nangongwen see the scars all over his body, Mu Xiaoling evaded her hand and said, Mother, I'm fine. Linger. Nangongwen was shocked and asked in surprise, You're awake. Mu Xiaoling nodded. Li had probably told Nangongwen about it, but she just didn't believe it. Nangongwen initially didn't believe it, but after seeing Mu Xiaoling's calm appearance, she couldn't help but believe it. In her ecstasy, her voice started to tremble and her voice sounded like she was about to cry. That's great, that's great. I knew my daughter wasn't a fool. The heavens are truly pitiful. They finally woke my Linger up. After saying that, she couldn't hold it in anymore and hugged Mu Xiaoling as she cried. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.